Hello, everyone. This is Oliver Friesen, the CEO of Golden Metal Resources. It is Tuesday, May the 15th. I'm in Nevada at the moment. I just got back from a day in the field, so quite a good one, but very sunny and hot. But tomorrow morning, UK time, the inversion results from Garfield will be going out. So I wanted to quickly record something tonight, and then I'll get that queued up to go tomorrow after the RNS. But we have some very exciting inversion results. Now, these are a follow-on to the inversion results that we recently announced at our flagship Pilot Mountain project, which allowed us to delineate a very intriguing buried porphyry target effectively, which is proximal to the main desert scheelite, tungsten, copper, silver, zinc, skarn. And now we're very pleased to announce that we have two further very bona fide porphyry targets here at Garfield, and the inversion results have confirmed that. So we've put out this map previously. This was about 2 weeks ago, I think it was. And then the follow-on was to do the inversions to figure out what this all looked like in 3D space. So just as a quick refresher as to what we were seeing here at Garfield at surface within the 2D map. So this is the black outline here, is the current outline of the Garfield property. These anomalies here are just noise. These are just kind of surface anomalies. They're post-mineral basalts. You can see they're kind of spiky and don't look that good. But what we found were what looked to be two very intriguing buried targets here. So we have the PN and then the PS, which is down here. Now the high grade zone is sort of in this area here. So there look to be two potential buried porphyries or two magnetic anomalies there within the high grade zone. And then moving over west to the power line zone, in the southwestern part of the property, we had the PPL zone, is what we called it. So another what looked to be buried magnetic anomaly here. But what I'll quickly do is, and one thing we outlined in the RNS is that these anomalies are coincident with copper in soils and copper in rocks. That's key here, right? You know, all across Nevada, you're going to find magnetic targets which are associated with buried intrusions, but we're only interested in the ones that are mineralized porphyries. So we need to see some sort of indication at surface that there's fluids coming off here, and those fluids are most importantly mineral or metal rich, and ideally copper. Copper porphyries is really what's catching the attention of the market right now. Today, when I was in the field, copper prices actually hit an all-time high. So there's a huge rush now to really start to secure copper porphyries in the Western USA, and we are very, very well position here at Golden Metal with porphyry south at Pilot Mountain, but also now these two porphyry targets. So what I'll just quickly do is I'll turn on the not historical, these are the rock sample results that we achieved, Golden Metal Resources. So this is actually the original showing here. This is actually the first the property that we acquired only covered this very small area here, but there's no magnetic anomaly there. So we're actually not that interested in the original showing, but obviously the property's grown significantly since then. And now, as you see here, this zone was sort of trending northeast, southwest, and you'll see in the magnetics, there's some sort of structure that's running here. But the key part is that a few rock samples that were taken above this PPL target returned anomalous copper in surface up to 2.6%. So once again, we're seeing this buried magnetic anomaly, and then at surface, we're finding high-grade copper in rocks. That's really key here because it's telling us ideally or giving us an indication as to what that buried target is at depth, because it's magnetic, that's all we know. But ideally, we're looking for a mineralized porphyry. And when these things are in place, these porphyries are in place, the fluids will rise up through faults and you'll find anomalous copper at surface. So that kind of corroborates what we're seeing here. Moving over to the high grade zone. Once again, this is clearly the main target here at Garfield. You'll see high grade copper proximal to these two magnetic anomalies here. I mean, this is a very, very impressive target. And to find the location of these two anomalies was, if I could have been given a pen and said, where would you want to see a magnetic anomaly? This is pretty much where we'd put them. So that's a really, really great start. Down here at the Pamlico, doesn't seem to be much of a magnetic anomaly here. So we'll have to kind of figure out what's going on there. But obviously the attention is focused here, and then secondary is going to be here. We're going to turn off the rocks now very quickly. There it is there. I'm going to turn on the geochemistry. Now, the geochem, we did a relatively small area. This is when the property was much, much smaller, but you'll see here, the pinks are your high-grade copper in soil. And once again, you'll see a cluster of copper in soil here, right above this target. That's really key here. And then over to the high grade zone, once again, I mean, it's almost perfectly coincident. We find this really robust, sizable copper in soil anomaly, which it lines up almost perfectly with these magnetic anomalies. So that's really key. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to show the inversion results in my program. Now, imagine you're standing sort of right where my mouse is here, and you're looking towards the north, and we've cut a slice through the earth. And we're going to look at what these two targets are doing at depth, because that's what these inversions are showing us. It's a 3D model of these magnetic anomalies. And there they are. So now we're looking north. These black squiggles, these are the actual lines at surface that the guys walk. So you can imagine the surface is up here. PPL, sizable target. It's cut off to the west, which means it's open to the west. Unfortunately, that ground is staked and covered by another operator, but we have a very large part of that anomaly there. We'll just actually very quickly flip back just to give you an idea as to the size of these targets. So this PPL on our ground, about 800 meters east-west, that's a sizable target. North-south, that's another about 500 meters. And then kind of we just measure from southwest to northeast, that's about 1 kilometer. So these are big targets that we're looking at here. We'll flip back to the 3D space once again. And there's that target there. So very sizable. This is just that noise at surface. So ignore this target here. This is just basalt, but we're looking for these coherent buried targets at depth. And as you move into the core, so we've taken off a few of the other less magnetic zones. You'll see, I'll just turn them on. In this case, the coloring is opposite. So the red's actually lower. It's a bit confusing, but as we get further into these cores, that's where the highest magnetic response is. And what's interesting, actually, the geophysicists mentioned that these magnetic targets are actually more magnetic than the porphyry south target. They're quite similar, but these were notably more magnetic, which just tells you that whatever is causing this is obviously has more magnetic minerals. But there's PPL, really fantastic target. Once again, if you know, at surface here, that's where we're finding the copper in soil, the copper in rock, and you'll see these kind of little fingering bits. That's quite common. If this is a porphyry or buried mineralized porphyry, as these big bodies intrude, you get these mineralized dikes that finger up to the surface. And we saw that at Porphyry South there. There was sort of some fingering, a western limb that fingered up towards surface. But the main target is the buried anomaly at depth. These little fingers that get to surface can actually give you a bit of indication as to what you're seeing at surface, and then you follow those down to the main coherent anomaly. So very large target here at PPL. This was, the high grade zone was kind of our focal point, which was over here. This was a really pleasant surprise because that's another very bona fide porphyry target that will need to be drilled here. So another one just to add to the inventory list. But high grade zone, that is without a doubt the key target here. We have the much higher copper at surface there. We have much larger anomaly. It's not that much bigger than PPL actually, which is great. But this is the area that is probably the tier or our preferred target here at Garfield. And what was interesting, we'll just flip back here. It looks like there's two discrete anomalies. So when we did the inversion, we thought, okay, we're probably going to see two bodies at depth. But the thing is, that's why we do these inversions, because when he actually models this, you'll see there's a kind of the magnetics kind of trickles towards the middle, which when he modeled it, it churned out, and we're going to flip back here. So we're looking at these two things at surface, but the really exciting advancement here, I'm going to zoom right into this target, and I'm just going to turn. So we're just kind of looking more from the southeast. These are the two anomalies we're seeing at surface. So you see this kind of hump here and then a hump here. That's actually what you're seeing in the 2D data. But what we didn't see is that these two anomalies, as they go down at depth, coalesce into a bigger body. Now that was surprising. We didn't expect that, but that's interesting and exciting for us because there's a much bigger target at depth now. It's not, there's two smaller buried targets. There's one larger anomaly. And that was probably the main takeaway for me from this inversion was there's not two discrete little kind of bodies. There's these finger down into a much bigger target at depth. And these aren't that deep. This is about 150, 200 meters down. Same with this one, 150, 200 meters down. So like I said, when these intrusions come up, these dikes can finger off. So it kind of looks like a porphyry, a buried porphyry, which once again, increases our confidence. Important for me to say these are just magnetic anomalies. We have not drilled them. We don't know what's causing them, but we have a lot of evidence. We have the soil sampling, we have the geochemical analysis that confirmed porphyry potential. We have the rock at surface, we have the soil at surface, and now we have these coherent magnetic bodies, intrusions. These porphyry intrusions are always magnetic compared to the surrounding wall rock. So really important development. Another two fantastic targets to add to the inventory list here, really perfectly positioning golden metal for a really exciting copper boom coming here. So these targets are fantastic. They have all the hallmarks of what we want to see here. Obviously, they need to be tested, but what we're going to do is we're going to really just kind of dive down here, really understand this data, pile everything together, and then we'll make a decision as to what the next steps are. But yeah, these are fantastic targets. We're really happy to have them in the portfolio, and they will need to be drilled here, and we will certainly be doing that at some stage here. So stay tuned for further updates. Hopefully this gives you some more intel and just a bit more information as to what they're doing here and what this all means. I'll be in Nevada for the next, I think, 5-6 days. Pilot Mountain, just down the road, we're drilling right now. So that's kind of my focal point here, is getting that program set up for success. And then we're going to very quickly turn on to Garfield and figure out what to do here. And these are fantastic targets. So we'll leave it at that. Hopefully that helps. And I'm sure you'll be hearing from me again soon.